Chapter 31. Consuming Forbidden Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 31. Consuming Forbidden Medicine. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. What is he wearing? Seeing Lin Xiu's ripped clothes, many observant people noticed the black sleeveless vest on his body. Are you being serious, wearing weights to a battle? The majority of students immediately flew into an uproar. If that was the case, wasn't it too exaggerating? At this point, Lin Xiu felt all the blood in his body boiling. He used all of his strength and took off the sleeveless vest, braces, and leg guards. As he took them off and threw them on the ground, they produced loud bang sounds. He was finally free of them. After using the skills during battle, the progress bar kept on changing and had just reached 100%. 25 potential points. Lin Xiu directly pumped 21 points into strength, allowing his strength attribute to reach a 100 while the remaining 4 into physique. What is this? Could it be that Lin Xiu was wearing training weights to battle? Luo Li was closer to Lin Xiu and noticed the items that were thrown on the ground and the heavy sounds that were produced. His pupils immediately constricted. Interesting, very interesting. Mr. Yi caressed his beard and chuckled. On the other hand, Tang Tian's teacher in charge, Lu Bai, frowned. Tang Tian's face darkened a great shade. He unleashed his source strength once again and imbued them onto his sword. He made his move immediately. Perfect timing. Lin Xiu was filled with battle intent at this moment. With the silver spear in hand, he charged forward. Clang, clang, clang. The two crossed weapons quickly as sparks ignited everywhere. Lin Xiu's spear moved lightning fast and stabbed at Tang Tian continuously. Fast, extremely fast. The current Lin Xiu looked completely different from the previous Lin Xiu. Be it strength or speed, everything had been raised a notch. Tang Tian's pupils constricted as he saw the cold spear tip stabbing at him and he used his sword to block. He then exerted his strength again with the intent of hitting the spear away, but Lin Xiu suddenly borrowed this momentum and leaped into the air. With both hands on Silver Immortal Soul, he slashed down at Tang Tian. Awe of the Phoenix. Rage build. Up had reached 100/100. Lin Xiu imbued all of the source strength in his body into the Silver Immortal Soul for this attack. With a flick of his wrists in the air, the spear tip brought a cold aura and drew a fiery arc in the air. Swoosh! A large blaze suddenly blossomed out of the spear tip. The blaze formed into a giant flaming bird and soared together with Lin Xiu towards Tang Tian. Zheng zheng, at this point, the spear trembled and unleashed a high-frequency sound. That's too terrifying. All the spectators stood up at this scene. The flaming bird was filled with immense power and the air around it seemed to have distorted from the high temperature. Using this skill with a power-up strike was actually so terrifying. It's over, Tang Tian's done for. Impossible, that's impossible, how did he learn such a powerful skill? Tang Tian raised his head and saw the incoming attack. He opened his eyes wide with disbelief on his face. Die for me. Tang Tian's expression turned sinister as he summoned flames on his sword and slashed out. The giant flaming bird directly absorbed all the flames from his sword and continued to attack him. With a clank, the spear tip pierced Tang Tian's sword body and broke it into pieces. The giant flaming bird surrounded Tang Tian's body and transformed into a gigantic flaming tornado and spun at an extremely fast rate. Tang Tian screamed as the flames burned all of his clothes. The immense pain and heat forced his eyes wide open. He immediately took out a small bottle and consumed the liquid inside. Lin Xiu frowned, although he did not know what Tang Tian drank. Lin Xiu did not hesitate and thrust the spear at his chest. Stop! Seeing this, Lu Bai's pupils constricted as he roared out loud. But Tang Tian's face became ugly in an instant. All the muscles on his body expanded at a rate visible to the naked eye and veins started to pop on the surface. The spear tip glistened with a cold aura and pierced Tang Tian's chest like a silver snake, but it suddenly stopped in place. What's going on? Lin Xiu's eyes narrowed. Before he could even react, he felt a gigantic force pull onto the spear and threw it to the side. Clang! The spear stabbed right into a wall at the side. What's going on? The entire crowd became excited. They had witnessed Lin Xiu stabbing Tang Tian. How did it turn out that way? You consumed a forbidden medicine. Lin Xiu retreated and glared at Tang Tian. Forbidden medicine. Luo Li gazed to the side and saw a small bottle with remnants of blue liquid. No way, Tang Tian actually consumed Alps. A few discovered Tang Tian's strange state and exclaimed in shock. This was a medicine that greatly amplified a human's strength for a short period of time. In the past, the Federation soldiers manufactured this medicine to resist the powerful zombies and evolved beasts. But its flaws were obvious. People that consumed this medicine would become crippled in the future and no longer be able to be warriors in the future. I want you to die. The flames of awe of the phoenix had burned Tang Tian's clothes into crisp as well as left scars on his face. His hatred for Lin Xiu ran bone deep, and so he used all of his strength and speed to charge at Lin Xiu. Rupturing fist. Not only was he proficient with his sword, but even more so with his fists. Rupturing fist could be said to be the strongest fist skill of the bronze category. It's over. Lin Xiu is proficient with the spear, but to fight barehanded, he cannot possibly win against Tang Tian, the president of the Fist Technique Association. Chapter 32. Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 32. Victory. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. Lin Xiu neither dodged nor avoided the punch, but instead, he erupted with immense power from both legs. He shot forward like a bullet and launched a fist on his own against Tang Tian. In that instant, Lin Xiu activated his skill Fury. Power, speed, physique, all of them increased exponentially when Fury was activated. He doesn't have a spear and still dares to collide head-on. Li Yuan's eyes were spewing with venom as he questioned in slight envy. He did not expect Lin Xiu to be so strong and actually force Tang Tian, a top 100 ranker, to the point of consuming forbidden medicine. Tang Tian consumed forbidden medicine. I think that this match needs to stop. Luo Li spoke to Mr. Yi. He was more and more shocked by Lin Xiu's performance. Over the past few days, this last-place student had brought about too much surprise. According to the talent and aptitude he had displayed, he was bound to be a powerful being. It would be a great pity if he was to be beaten to death by Tang Tian there and then. Does the martial arts battle forbid the use of Alps? Lu Bai glanced at Luo Li in diametrical opposition to each other. Tang Tian's usage of the forbidden medicine had surprised him as well. He initially believed that Tang Tian could get rid of Lin Xiu right away. Who would have thought that the situation would develop into such a situation? But it did not matter. The improved Alps was unlike the old version. Although the damage on the body would be severe, it was no longer as severe and serious to the point of being crippled and no longer being able to become a warrior. Let's watch on. Mr. Yi chuckled, then he moved his eyes back onto the battle. He squinted his eyes. The awe of the phoenix unleashed by Lin Xiu had surprised him too. He had never seen such a skill before. Bang! Lin Xiu and Tang Tian's fists collided and produced a powerful sound. The two clenched their teeth and exerted all their strength. What is going on? The spectators were dumbstruck by the scene. Tang Tian's rupturing fist was actually matched with Lin Xiu's punch. Rupturing fist was considered one of the strongest bronze fist skills. How was Lin Xiu able to withstand it? Without waiting for their shock to subside, Lin Xiu and Tang Tian clashed once again. Collision after collision, every punch landed on the opponent's body and produced loud sounds from the impact of fist and flesh. Lin Xiu's eyes lit up like a torch, and he clenched his fists tightly as he unleashed a barrage of attacks on Tang Tian's body. Due to the effects of the forbidden medicine, Tang Tian's body had swelled to an immense size and was extremely sturdy. Go and die. Go and die. Tang Tian was already crazy. How could he be forced into such a state by trash? And under the eyes of thousands of peers. He was already in a crazy state. If he did not kill Lin Xiu, it would be a lifetime of humiliation. He unleashed even faster attacks like a torrential storm on Lin Xiu. Rupturing fist was indeed a powerful fist technique, and even when guarded against, the victim would feel immense pain as though the muscles were about to rip apart. But under the state of fury, Lin Xiu's physique had improved substantially, which meant that he could withstand the attacks. After withstanding Tang Tian's fist, Lin Xiu punched Tang Tian's chest. An intense sound came out again. Fury's duration was short, and if it disappeared, it was over for him. Lin Xiu increased his offense and unleashed even more punches. My fist skill is the strongest. Seeing that Lin Xiu was attacking him, Tang Tian roared and poured all of his source energy into his fists. Rupturing fists with source strength. When he unleashed his fists, everyone could hear the friction between his fists and the air. Have a taste of my rupturing fist. Lin Xiu did not dodge and roared out loud as he unleashed his right fist as well. Rupturing fist. No way. A few students were jolted by Lin Xiu's roar. Legend has it that there was a fist skill that was in the bronze category, but the power it contained was equivalent to a silver skill, that was rupturing fist. Impossible. If it truly is rupturing fist, he would already be dead. A student cried out. The reason why no one practiced this skill was that it could self-harm even before inflicting damage on the opponent. Almost anyone who practiced this skill suffered shaking damage to their internal organs. There was even a student that died while practicing this, so no one was willing to do so. On the stage, Lin Xiu turned his body the moment Tang Tian's fist came towards him and avoided the strike. He unleashed his own punch that landed squarely on Tang Tian's shoulder. You think your punch can break through my defense? Tang Tian laughed sinisterly. After consuming Alps, his muscles had grown to a terrifying extent. Much less a fist, even a spear would not harm him that easily. Who says it won't kill you if it doesn't break through your defense? Lin Xiu sneered. What? Tang Tian's eyes constricted as he suddenly felt pain all over his body. When he crossed fists with Lin Xiu, there was initially no pain whatsoever. But after the impact, he felt pain all over his body. Bang, bang, bang. Countless loud bumps could be heard. All of his internal organs and flesh had ruptured. This was the characteristic of rupturing fist. It overlooked the defense on the exterior and caused internal injuries directly. Tang Tian opened his eyes wide and blood spilled out from his mouth. Tang Tian's body dropped to the ground with a loud thud. His eyes remained wide open, but he seemed to have already died. Sorry, I won. The entire hall had become silent and even a drop of a needle could be heard. He won. Yi Shuang'er looked at the silent and shocked crowd and squealed out loud. The surrounding was quiet and Yi Shuang'er's scream woke a few of them up. This isn't a dream. The trash Lin Xiu won. Damn. Am I still sleeping? The majority of the crowd looked on in disbelief, but Class 29 was in immeasurable joy as they screamed for Lin Xiu's name. Go and die. Because there was no notification from the system, it meant that Tang Tian was still alive. Lin Xiu looked at Tang Tian on the ground and raised his right leg up with the intention of trampling on his head. Chapter 33. The Decision of Punishment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 33. The Decision of Punishment. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation, you dare. Right as Lin Xiu was about to stomp down, a loud bellow came out from the other side. A figure swept down to the stage. Lin Xiu's pupils narrowed and he subconsciously placed both hands in front of him. He felt an immense pressure as he was struck and sent flying. Bang! Lin Xiu felt a thick and sweet taste in his mouth upon smashing onto the ground and spat out blood. He raised his head and saw a middle-aged man carrying Tang Tian up. Tang family patriarch, Tang Mubai. A few looked and recognized the man in shock. He is a rank 3 warrior about to break through to rank 4, to students that had yet to even become quasi-warriors, a rank 3 warrior was simply unfathomable. Tang family members even have to rely on others in a martial arts battle for help. Although Lin Xiu's chest was heavy, he stood up and wiped the blood off his lips and revealed a sneer. Tang Mubai stared at Lin Xiu with a dark expression. If not for the thousands of students around, he would have charged straight up and killed Lin Xiu right on the spot. Lin Xiu, you have gone too far. How can you attempt to kill your own schoolmate? Lu Bai slammed the table and shouted while standing up. This is a martial arts battle. Mr. Yi glanced at him and spoke indifferently. When he heard Mr. Ye's words, Lu Bai's face turned red and white, but he did not dare refute anything. Tang Mubai also knew he could not stay long. He carried Tang Tian with a dark expression and left. Lin Xiu. Yang Tian ran over and shouted out with joy. Following him were class 29 students. Not only was the battle spectacular, but also Lin Xiu actually won. This was the first time in Xi Yao Academy's history that a class 29 student had won against a student from the top class, not to mention the worst student winning against a top 100 ranker. Lin Xiu was flung into the air as many of the students in the martial arts hall started to shout Lin Xiu's name. I knew that my big brother Lin Xiu would win. Yi Xuanger clenched her fists tightly in excitement. The match that became the attention of all the students in Xi Yao Academy finally closed its curtains with Lin Xiu as the victor. From that day on, no one in Xi Yao Academy could call Lin Xiu trash. Has anyone ever seen a trash beat a top 100 ranker? On the second day after the martial arts battle, Lin Xiu fell into a deep sleep. After all, he had trained extremely hard up to the day of the battle. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Xiu heard an anxious knocking on the door while dreaming. He rubbed his eyes and crawled up slowly. The time on the clock showed that it was already past 1 in the afternoon. I actually slept for so long. Teacher Luo. He opened the door and saw Luo Li standing outside. What? You just woke up. Luo Li smiled at Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu stretched his back, his entire body was still aching and the battle with Tang Tian had exhausted him greatly. I'm here to give you good as well as bad news. What do you want to hear first? Luo Li looked at Lin Xiu and sighed helplessly. Lin Xiu frowned, what could have happened again? Bad news first. Luo Li nodded his head, then spoke after a little hesitation, the academy has decided to punish you. Punish? Why should they punish me? Lin Xiu bellowed upon hearing Luo Li's words. Lin Xiu, calm down first. Luo Li was truly helpless. The Tang family was a long-time sponsor of Xi Yao Academy. Tang Ping had his arm broken and Tang Tian was almost killed, all in the hands of a famous trash. This sort of humiliation was something they could not endure. But as the martial arts combat was held under the eyes of everyone and Tang Tian even consumed a forbidden medicine, they had no way of changing the narrative. But they used Tang Ping's broken arm as an excuse that Lin Xiu had bullied a junior. They pressured the academy to execute a punishment on him. Originally, the Tang family intended to kick Lin Xiu out of the academy, but with Mr. Yi and Luo Li's powerful refutes, Lin Xiu was able to continue staying in school. Damn it! Lin Xiu's eyes were red as he clenched his fists to the extent that even his veins were bulging. Regardless of what era he was in, people with money had influence and always thought to bully ordinary folks. Lin Xiu, don't get angry just yet. The matter is already at this point and we have no other choice. Luo Li patted Lin Xiu's shoulder. What's the punishment? Lin Xiu took a deep breath and asked. To accompany Xian Yao city soldiers to head to Guangming Fort and engage in the annual Operation Annihilation. Luo Li explained. Guangming Fort. Lin Xiu was stunned, then recalled the knowledge he had gained from reading. Guangming Fort was situated on the north of Xian Yao City and was built by the military as a means to defend against the zombies, but an extremely critical nuclear accident there led to the deaths of soldiers and people. Due to the nuclear contamination, the monsters and zombies mutated to a terrifying degree. Every third quarter of the year, soldiers from Xian Yao City as well as other cities would form an expedition to clear the zombies and monsters there. It was extremely dangerous and many soldiers had turned into zombies and stayed there permanently. I'll go. Lin Xiu was indifferent to the situation. To others, it was definitely a nightmare, but it was heaven for Lin Xiu. There were many zombies there. So long as he killed them and gained countless experience, matched with his cultivation technique, his level would definitely rise. Rank 3 Warrior Tang Mubai. Lin Xiu sneered, by relying on his level upgrade system and cultivation technique, he believed that he would trample on the entire Tang family soon enough. Lin Xiu, this is no joke, we can still continue to fight against this, Luo Li quickly replied upon hearing Lin Xiu's immediate answer, afraid that he was agreeing due to anger. I'm not joking. Lin Xiu waved his hand and replied. Right, what's the good news? Luo Li was startled, then took out an exquisite box from his pocket. The box surface had an exquisite flowery pattern and was aesthetically pleasing. As Luo Li opened it, a silver card appeared. I forgot to tell you, Lin Xiu. Congratulations on promoting to the top 100 rankers. This is your reward. Chapter 34. Last Skill Card. Torrential Storm of Rose Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 34. Last Skill Card, Torrential Storm of Rose Flowers. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation Reward. Lin Xiu was stunned, but he quickly regained himself. He was aware that students that were promoted to the top 100 were awarded a silver skill card. The victory in the martial arts battle meant that Lin Xiu had successfully replaced Tang Tian and become a top 100 in the academy. He looked at the skill card in the box and subconsciously picked it up. The skill card was as thin as a poker card but felt extremely tough. It was made out of an extremely unique material. The entire card was silver with engravings on the surface. Silver Skill, Torrential Storm of Rose Flowers. Lin Xiu saw the card and exclaimed in surprise. This was an extremely precious spear skill card and was classified as an uncommon skill card. That's right, this is Torrential Storm of Rose Flowers. Luo Li nodded his head. Very few people in the academy took the spear, adding that Tang Mubai had broken the rules and saved Tang Tian from the martial arts battle. Luo Li fought and won this silver skill card for Lin Xiu. Of course, Luo Li knew that Mr. Yi had help from the shadows. For some reason, Mr. Yi seemed to favor Lin Xiu. This caused Luo Li to be baffled. One had to know that Mr. Yi was a special existence in the academy. Torrential Storm of Rose Flowers was created by the renowned spear grandmaster Bai Liruo. He is able to unleash a 100 spear strikes in a second and this made the skill famous. Although it is a silver rank skill, it will not lose to any other skills if you are able to unleash all of its strength. Luo Li added. A 100 spear strikes in a second. This made cold perspiration trickle down Lin Xiu's back. Such an attack left no time for enemies to react, and their bodies would be pierced with holes already, right? Lin Xiu rejoiced when he looked at the silver skill card. He considered this a blessing hidden in the midst of calamity. This is the last torrential storm of Rose Flower's skill cards. After learning this, the world will no longer have this card anymore. Luo Li sighed. Spear Grandmaster Bai Lirua had left behind many torrential storm of Rose Flower's cards, but very few were successful in learning it. And aside from the condition of being a rank 6 warrior, one had to be a great success with the skill in order to create a skill card. Every card creation would exhaust the warrior's mental power and thus the limited number of high-rank skill cards. So this is the last skill card. Lin Xiu looked at the figure holding onto a spear on the silver card. Although he was unable to make out the face, he was able to sense a powerful aura from the man. Rest easy, Teacher Luo. I will definitely learn this. Lin Xiu clenched his fist and replied. A silver skill card required the rank of an official warrior before one could attempt to learn. Before that, he had to keep this card well. According to Luo Li, the Xianyao city soldiers would board a plane and fly to Guangming Fort in the north in 2 days and engage in the annual extermination of mutated monsters that arose from the contamination. Equals 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 at the same time in the Tang family. Dad, you have to take revenge for us. Tang Ping roared with a sinister expression on his face. Somehow, the news of him provoking Lin Xiu and getting his arm broken had spread throughout his school. He was a genius in junior third that was about to become a quasi-warrior, but he actually lost to the trash of Xianyao Academy. But the more terrifying fact was that his own brother Tang Tian, who was a top 100 ranker in Xianyao Academy, had lost to him as well and was in a vegetative state, unable to move one bit. He opened his eyes and gazed at the ceiling without any energy or life in them. Shut up. Tang Mubai glared at Tang Ping with an ashen expression. Tang Ping, you wanted to kill him but got your hand broken. Your brother wanted to kill him but got beaten to this extent. Why aren't you reflecting on it? Our Tang family's face has been completely ruined by the two of you. All of Tang Mubai's suppressed rage and anger erupted at this moment. Tang Ping trembled from Tang Mubai's roar and fear appeared in his eyes. All right. Mubai, you need to give the kids the chance to grow. A woman from the side glanced at Tang Mubai and spoke up. Your motherly love brought up failures. Tang Mubai snorted. He had already gone against the rules when he saved Tang Tian during the martial arts battle. If he made a move and killed Lin Xiu, the Tang family's name would be thoroughly finished. But don't worry, I already found the higher-ups of the academy. In the name of punishment, he is arranged to go to Guangming Fort to help with the cleanup there. Tang Mubai said coldly. The number of people who returned alive could be counted on the fingers of one hand, much less any ordinary student. Upon thinking about this, Tang Mubai's gaze became extremely cold. Really? Tang Ping became happy. If that was the truth, Lin Xiu was done for. Tang Mubai nodded his head. Both of his sons were in such a state because of Lin Xiu, and everyone outside were gossiping about how the Tang family's sons had lost to a trash. It was simply a slap in the face. I want to kill him personally. Tang Tian suddenly spoke up while laying in bed. Your physique is much worse than before after consuming the forbidden medicine, you think you can beat him. Tang Mubai was not surprised when he heard his son speak but retorted coldly. He had high expectations for Tang Tian, but who would have thought that he would actually consume the forbidden medicine? Even if his aptitude was extremely good, he could no longer become a rank 6 or above warrior. Upon thinking about this, Tang Mubai sighed. I want to go to the path of death. Tang Tian said slowly while staring at the ceiling. Path of death. Tang Ping was stunned. He seemed to have heard of that name before. Tianer, don't be foolish. You'll die if you go there, Tang Tian's mother, Zhang Qie, immediately warned. Shut up. Tang Tian roared and scared her. That darned bastard actually dared to turn my son like this. Zhang Jie muttered to herself as she clenched her teeth. In her eyes, her son had always been obedient, and it was because of Lin Xiu that he turned out this way. You really want to go? Tang Mubai revealed a hint of joy. Warriors that returned from tempering themselves in the path of death all grew exponentially. The dangers within the path of death forced all their strength out and could not be overlooked. That was if one could return alive. I'm sure. Tang Tian's eyes were cold as he nodded his head. Chapter 35. Ambush. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 35. Ambush. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. After resting for a day, Lin Xiu left the academy early the next morning and headed to the city center to buy some battle robes and other items that he needed. The fog was thick and visibility was very low this morning. He couldn't even see other passers-by around him. Lin Xiu continued walking, and suddenly, his pupils restricted as he lifted his leg and kicked towards the back. Bang! A figure was instantly sent flying. Who's that? Lin Xiu was taken aback. The early morning fog caused visibility to be very low, but through the analytic eye, Lin Xiu immediately knew that there were about 5 to 6 rank 1 warriors around him. Well, I can't believe you're not an official warrior yet with this quick reaction of yours. The man, who had just been sent flying by Lin Xiu, walked slowly over and said with a cold smile. These 5 or 6 people strolled towards Lin Xiu and surrounded him. Who are you guys? Lin Xiu looked coldly at them and said. It doesn't matter who we are. More importantly, you're going to die here today. The man sneered, then punched Lin Xiu in the face. This was the city, and the future world still had institutions like the police. If warriors dared to kill in the city, they would be dead. But due to the thick fog and low visibility this morning, who would know if someone died in this weather? Lin Xiu raised his brows and didn't dodge, he directly threw a punch over. Confront the tough with toughness. That warrior's face turned sinister, he actually dared to punch a warrior's fist. Didn't he know that a warrior's fist was covered with source energy? Bang! The two fists collided, and a cracking sound suddenly rang out. The man thought that he could break Lin Xiu's fist easily. But instead of Lin Xiu's fist, his own bones and muscles were broken, as if there was an explosion inside his body. That punch was savage, too savage. Lin Xiu didn't give him any chance to react. He raised his fist and hit him on the body. You actually know how to cultivate the arts. The man felt the intense pain as he grimaced in agony. His body reacted quickly and he wanted to dodge, but Lin Xiu was simply too fast. At this moment, Lin Xiu's fist had already hit his body several times. One punch after another. Bang, bang, bang. Previously, he thought that Lin Xiu was only a quasi-warrior and was careless, which gave Lin Xiu an opportunity. This time, he could only defend passively. But even if he blocked Lin Xiu's fists, the rupturing fist was simply too terrifying. It was simply a form of punch that disregarded defense. He continued throwing punches over. The man's body made a violent noise from the inside, then he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open like he died with injustice unredressed. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The remaining few warriors were appalled. According to the information they had, even if Lin Xiu had defeated Tang Tian, he was just a quasi-warrior at most. But how could this quasi-warrior kill a rank 1 warrior within seconds? Kill. Ding! Congratulations master on killing a rank 1 warrior, you've gained 2,500 experience points. Lin Xiu took a glance behind. These rank 1 warriors were no longer humans in his eyes but experience points. They were all experience points. Kill others and others would want to kill you too. The reason why warriors were so strong was that a warrior could use a skill, but these people were clearly good at using weapons and weren't good at close combat. So to Lin Xiu, these warriors were almost the same level as him. I'll let all of you try my rupturing fist. Lin Xiu looked at those warriors that wanted to kill him and sneered. The rupturing fist was comparable to a silver skill and it was simply terrifying. These people didn't dare to fight against Lin Xiu at all. At this moment, a warrior was attacked on the chest by Lin Xiu and immediately felt a sharp pain in his heart. There was a loud thud and his heart exploded. Get lost, get lost. Lin Xiu killed 3 warriors in succession and the remaining 2 warriors were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They had to flee. These are experience points. Ah! Lin Xiu chased after them. This situation was simply too strange. A quasi-warrior was actually chasing after the official warriors to fight. After chasing these 2 warriors from the city to the suburbs, Lin Xiu still couldn't manage to catch them. But who exactly sent these people? Lin Xiu thought about it carefully. Among everyone who had a feud with him, only the Tang family was most likely to do this. With this thought, Lin Xiu had a ferocious glint in his eyes. Meanwhile, at the Tang residence. Useless, all of you are useless. Zhang Qia looked at the 2 warriors who were on their knees and trembled in fury. Her chest kept undulating. She was already in her 40s but took very good care of herself and still looked stunning. However, her expression was exceptionally sinister at this moment which made her look ugly. 5 rank 1 warriors against a quasi-warrior. 3 of you guys are dead and you 2 still have the cheek to return. That's right, her 2 sons were pampered since they were little and she couldn't even bear to beat them. She didn't expect that Lin Xiu would actually do this to them, she simply hated him to the core. She secretly arranged for 5 rank 1 warriors to ambush Lin Xiu but didn't expect this to happen. We didn't expect that chap would be so strong, those 2 warriors said fearfully. The fist technique that Lin Xiu cultivated was too terrifying, and he managed to kill 3 warriors in an instant. It simply scared them. If we could bring some weapons along, we would be able to kill him. You guys still want to kill at the city center. Are you trying to ruin our Tang family's reputation completely? Just at this moment, the door opened and a tall figure walked in. Mubai. Zhang Qia got a shock when she saw Tang Mubai walking in. Both of you get out. Tang Mubai looked at these 2 warriors and said. It was as if they received amnesty when they heard Tang Mubai's words and quickly left. You think that nobody would find out about this? How shallow. I'm just taking revenge for our sons. Zhang Qia felt wronged and looked like she was going to cry. HNG. You don't have to worry about this, I've already made arrangements. Tang Mubai sneered. If I didn't clear the dead bodies of those people, once the federal investigators checked, they would know that those few people were people from our Tang family. Right now, Lin Xiu's matter had spread everywhere and everyone would suspect that the Tang family was behind it. If they had to do something, they must make sure that they leave no trace. For example, if he died at Guangming Fort, who would hold the Tang family responsible? Chapter 36. Get ready to set off. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 36. Get ready to set off. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. When Lin Xiu returned to the city center once again, those dead bodies were gone. Someone had already cleared them up. After buying whatever he needed, Lin Xiu returned to the dorm. Not long after he returned, the computer made a sound. Lin Xiu was stunned, then instinctively pressed on it. Connecting, brother Lin Xiu. Very soon, when the top of the screen indicated that the connection was successful, a young girl's voice was projected instantly before him. So it's Schwanger. Lin Xiu was startled and came to his senses at this moment. The future world had long replaced video chats with holographic projection. It seemed like Yi Shuanger was standing right in front of him, and Lin Xiu couldn't help but exclaim at the power of technology. "What's up?" Lin Xiu smiled and asked. Yi Shuanger appeared a little shy and was hesitant to speak. I'll do it. Shuanger wants to ask if you're free this weekend, she wants to ask you out. At this moment, another cute young girl's projection appeared and she smiled. Nonsense. Yi Shuanger's face turned red, then she pinched the other girl's slightly chubby cheeks. The two girls began fighting. Hey, be careful of exposing yourself. The two girls appeared to be in their dorms and were dressed in very thin pajamas. Ah! That girl with chubby cheeks exclaimed when she heard Lin Xiu. She couldn't help but blush. Very soon, her holographic projection was gone. Don't listen to her nonsense. I merely wanted to ask if you'll be free this weekend to tutor me. Yi Shuanger asked. Warriors were respected ones in the future world, but other knowledge was still required to get into the academy. Also, the content of learning was more complex. However, I might need to leave Xingyao City for a period of time and won't be free. Lin Xiu said. He didn't say that he was going to Guangming Fort. Otherwise, this girl was going to be worried again. Ah! Where are you going? Yi Shuanger was stunned and asked. I'll be going to an academy in other provinces for an exchange program. Lin Xiu lied. Oh, alright then. Yi Shuanger was slightly disappointed but still smiled sweetly. Time flew by. Early in the next morning, Lin Xiu took the maglev train to the airport with Luo Li. After they arrived at the airport and passed through the security, they could see many soldiers in battle robes over at that side. Lin Xiu, be careful. You must return safely. Luo Li looked at Lin Xiu, who had already changed into his battle robe, and said seriously. Actually, when the academy announced this punishment, Luo Li was enraged. Letting a student take part in the clean-up operation at the Guangming Fort was basically pushing him to his death, right? However, he calmed down after that. He couldn't do anything about it unless Lin Xiu dared to drop out of school. But if he did, his future would really be ruined. Don't worry, I'll come back for sure. Lin Xiu took a deep breath and said in a serious manner. I will come back within a month. In this world, power was everything. If you became a rank 5 warrior, you would get a special status recognized even by the federal government. You're Lin Xiu. Just then, a tall and muscular man dressed in camouflage battle robe walked over and spoke to Lin Xiu with knitted brows. Yes. Lin Xiu nodded and instinctively activated the analytic eye. However, he realized that he couldn't analyze this man. He should be a warrior rank 3 and above. Oh right, this is Captain Qin Chang. He is one of the people in charge of this mission. Luo Li introduced. Qin Chang appeared to recognize Luo Li and nodded at him. Then, he glanced at Lin Xiu and said coldly, we're not going there for fun, you might lose your life. He walked towards the other side after speaking. He's like that, don't mind him. Luo Li smiled at Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu nodded, and after saying goodbye to Luo Li, he carried the box containing the silver immortal soul and walked over. Gather. We'll begin the roll call now. Over at the field outside, Qin Chang and a few other high-ranking warriors were already standing there. After several names were called out, Lin Xiu finally heard his own name. After that, he also jogged over like those people. Those soldiers wearing camouflage battle robes were stunned when they saw a young man standing next to them and broke out in laughter. Little friend, are you in the wrong team? A bulky man curled his lips and mocked. The lowest ranking for this mission was a rank 1 warrior, and this boy who looked like a high school student was joining them. Is he courting death? Lin Xiu glanced askance at him and didn't say a word. Be serious. Qin Chang furrowed his brows and yelled sternly. These soldiers appeared to still be afraid of Qin Chang, and when they heard what he said, they straightened up and didn't dare to speak anymore. After Qin Chang saw that everyone was in place, he said, "Our Xingyao city sent a total of 4 teams this time, a total of 40 warriors. Sir, there seems to be someone in our team who isn't a warrior." A man spoke up. Those soldiers guffawed when they heard his words. "You and those who laughed. Do 100 push-ups on the spot and complete them within 5 minutes. Qin Chang ordered coldly. Those soldiers were stunned and somewhat annoyed. But they still quickly did the push-ups according to Qin Chang's order. You may be a student from Xingyao Academy, but as long as you're a part of this mission, you're no different from them and you must always be conscious of death. Do you understand? Qin Chang looked at Lin Xiu at this moment and said coldly. Yes. Lin Xiu knew that the Federal Army's rules were very strict and could be said to be even stricter than the rules of the world he was in before he transmigrated. At this moment, he stood at the same spot obediently. 5 minutes went by very quickly and that scarily huge plane had already extended its stairs out automatically. The plane will be taking off soon. Are you guys ready? Qin Chang's gaze swept across these young faces as he shouted. Ready. Chapter 37. Everyone here is rubbish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 37. Everyone here is rubbish. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. This new model of aircraft was very spacious, and it felt as if you were walking into a normal building when you entered. This time, Xingyao City dispatched a total of 40 soldiers, each team had 10 people and they were divided into 4 teams. Almost all of these soldiers were rank 1 warriors and there were several rank 2 warriors, while the 4 instructors leading each team were high-ranking warriors. Guangming Fort was quite far from Xingyao City. There was a huge training ground and many training facilities in the aircraft, and many soldiers had begun to train there. Hey, are you a student of Xingyao City? Lin Xiu was sitting cross-legged on the training ground at this moment and was using the cultivation technique to absorb source energy when a soldier came to speak to him. Instead of answering his question, Lin Xiu continued to cultivate cross-legged. The man frowned, then reached out and tried to push Lin Xiu. At this moment, Lin Xiu opened his eyes instantly and grabbed the man's wrist with his right hand. What are you trying to do? Lin Xiu's eyes were so cold that the man was startled. I just wanted to have a chat with you. I don't have any malicious intentions. The man smiled and said. But he was secretly surprised. Lin Xiu's reaction speed just now was really quick and the strength of his arm wasn't weak either. Was he really a high school student? My name is Li Yi. I graduated from Xingyao Academy too. The man said with a smile. N. Lin Xiu nodded. Why are you here with us? Li Yi asked, a little puzzled. For someone who hadn't become an official warrior, wasn't he courting death by going to Guangming Fort with them? It's what the academy required. Lin Xiu said helplessly. This person was a little too friendly, wasn't he? Academy. There is such a rule at Xingyao Academy now. Li Yi was surprised and asked. Li Yi, what are you still doing with that boy? If you don't train well, I'm not going to care if you die over there later. Then, another strong soldier stood in front of Lin Xiu and Li Yi and said with a big smile. HNG, Li Yi glared at him and it was clear that he and the man weren't on very good terms. Little friend, what the hell are you carrying? He looked over to Lin Xiu and suddenly noticed the long wooden box next to Lin Xiu. Then, he reached out to get it. Jin Hai, don't touch other people's things. Li Yi said in a cold voice. So what if I did? Jin Hai had a look of disdain but did not stop his hands. But just at this moment, Lin Xiu's right hand pressed onto the wooden box and no matter how hard Jin Hai tried to move it, he simply couldn't. Boy, you're very crazy, huh? Jin Hai felt embarrassed and he looked at Lin Xiu nastily. Huh, so it's that boy just now. Jin Hai, quick, look at what's in that boy's wooden box. The rest of the soldiers also came over at this moment, and as they just had warmed up training. Their shirts were off, revealing their upper body with only a black vest on. Those bulging muscles looked terrifying. Don't go too deep. Li Yi spoke up at this moment. Get lost. Jin Hai snorted, pushed Li Yi away, and tried to forcefully take Lin Xiu's wooden box. Do you really want to see it? Lin Xiu narrowed his eyes and asked. Don't talk so much nonsense. Jin Hai pulled hard with both hands and managed to snatch the wooden box. But just holding the long wooden box in his hand, he found it very heavy and nearly pressed his hand to the ground. Pop! Meanwhile, Lin Xiu's hand moved, and the wooden box opened up. Jin Hai hadn't come to his senses yet and saw a flash of cold light. Lin Xiu seemed to have taken something out of the wooden box. Swish! He felt a sharp pain on his neck as a silver long spear tip pressed against his neck. Silver immortal soul wants to see blood when it comes out, Lin Xiu said plainly. You. Jin Hai's expression became fearful at this moment, and with the tip of the spear on his neck, he could feel the sharpness of it. Although there was only a trace of blood on his scratched skin, he felt that if Lin Xiu wanted to kill him just now, he would already be dead. Is this a rank 1 warrior? Seriously? Lin Xiu shook his head, took back the long spear, and looked disappointed. Boy, say that again if you dare. Lin Xiu's words angered all the other soldiers, and a group of soldiers surrounded him. Hey, apologize right now. Li Yi saw this scene and could not help but have goosebumps as he whispered to Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu nodded and said to the crowd, I'm sorry. Do you think sorry is enough? The silver immortal soul had left his neck, and Jin Hai heaved a sigh of relief as his face turned sinister. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't finished. What I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry, I wasn't targeting you. I was saying that everyone here is rubbish. Lin Xiu glanced at the people around him and said indifferently. Courting death. Jin Hai's expression changed drastically when he heard this, then he threw a punch towards Lin Xiu's body. Lin Xiu did not dodge, but also directly threw a punch over. Bang! Under the collision of two fists, it wasn't Lin Xiu who bounced off but Jin Hai, the official warrior. How is that possible? Li Yi was appalled at this time. He was as shocked as the rest of the soldiers. Jin Hai, are you all right? A soldier helped Jin Hai up and said out loud. Jin Hai shook his head and stared ferociously at Lin Xiu. What the hell happened to that punch? He felt as if the bones in his whole arm had been broken. No injury could be seen on the outside, but the pain inside was unbearable. This boy is too crazy. Let's attack him together and teach him a lesson. One of the soldiers shouted at this moment. But as soon as he said that, he found that everyone around him stood still and didn't dare to move. What's the matter? Bullying a newcomer. Qin Chang said in a cold voice as he walked over. Sir, it was this boy who knocked Jin Hai to the ground first. A soldier said. Qin Chang walked up to him, then looked at him and said, a warrior was knocked down by a high school student and you still have the cheek to speak. Chapter 38. Operation Clean Up, begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 38. Operation Clean Up, begin. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. The faces of the soldiers changed when they heard Qin Chang's words. They even had the intent of ganging up on Lin Xiu, but they regained themselves. This youth was only a high school student and not a warrior. If you have so much energy to waste on stupid things, why not think about how to survive when you reach Guangming Fort? Qin Chang spoke coldly. Because of the incident, the soldiers no longer dared to look down on Lin Xiu, and nothing like this ever happened again when the plane landed. Equals 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 Guangming Fort was once a large military installation designed to withstand against zombies and mutated beasts, but its former prestige was gone and it had become dilapidated. The exterior of the structures looked tattered and torn from the passing of time. The plane landed at the center plaza of the fort. "We're finally here." Lin Xiu held the silver immortal soul in hand. Upon coming out of the plane, he took a deep breath. "The 3 instructors and I will head to the core region and clear out the evolved beasts that are of bigger threats. The soldiers from other cities have already moved out for Operation Clean Up, so all of you be quick on your feet. 10 in a team and all of you can head out from the south gate." Qin Chang gave the orders to the crowd. "Yes sir." The group was quickly formed into teams of 10 with Lin Xiu grouped with Li Yi. Due to the contamination, there was a weird smell in the air. But a warrior's body would not be affected by the contaminated place. So long as they were not struck or attacked by mutated beasts or zombies that had been infected, they were safe. "Have you been here before?" While walking, Lin Xiu asked Li Yi. "No," Li Yi shook his head and chuckled bitterly, "everyone here was chosen. I just graduated from the army and never thought that I would be picked." Lin Xiu nodded his head and continued moving with the team. They quickly arrived at the city gate. Everyone held on to various types of weapons and the 4 teams left in the gates in different directions towards the outside. "Kid, I hope you don't die so easily." Jin Hai shot a glance at Lin Xiu and said coldly. The incident on the plane had humiliated him. "Relax, I'll live well. But for you, don't think you'll see the light of tomorrow's sun." Lin Xiu replied indifferently. "You," Jin Hai became infuriated and clenched his fists with the intent of punching Lin Xiu when he heard him refute. But upon recalling what had happened, he became slightly afraid. Even until now, there was a slight sore in his arm. "Jin Hai, let's go." A soldier pulled Jin Hai away. "Humph," Jin Hai snorted and headed off in the other direction. After walking for a distance, they saw a town not far ahead of them. The structures looked ancient and were similar to the structures of his previous world. Many of the building surfaces were covered with vines and strange plants. They continued walking and arrived at the town. There are many small towns like this around Guangming Fort. The 10 of us are responsible to clean up the evolved beasts and zombies here. A tall and sturdy man explained to the team. He was called Su Wen and was the temporary leader of the team. Right when he finished his sentence, a strange sound came out from the corner. Lin Xiu's pupils constricted and he ran forward with the spear in his hand. "Brat, why are you running so fast?" Li Yi was stunned when he saw Lin Xiu and chased after him. Lin Xiu saw a few figures upon turning the corner. The clothes on their bodies were already moldy and their faces were extremely white with bloodshot eyes. Their mouths contained 2 rows of extremely sharp teeth with saliva dripping down uncontrollably. They saw Lin Xiu the moment he saw them. As though having seen a delicious meal, they started moving towards Lin Xiu's direction. Analytic eyes, activate. Rank 2 zombie traits. Extremely fast, sharp claws, carries contamination and mutated virus. Overall combat strength. 746-inch combat strength of 746. Lin Xiu's pupils constricted, that was too terrifying. It was true, rank 2 zombies or mutated beasts could rival that of rank 1 official warriors. Although he was nervous, Lin Xiu remained unafraid. He held his spear tightly and swung his spear against an approaching rank 2 zombie and sliced its body cleanly into 2. But even with its slightly higher combat strength, a zombie was still a zombie without any sense or intellect. They only knew how to hunt and bite. Zombies were easier to kill compared to evolved beasts. As long as one remained careful not to get bitten. Ding, congratulations master, for killing a rank 2 zombie, obtaining 2,800 experience points. So many experience points. Just as Lin Xiu was celebrating, the zombies from behind had charged towards him. They opened their mouths and swung their claws with the remaining meat stuck in between their teeth. It looked extremely hideous. Lin Xiu did not retreat but moved his spear. The spear tip emitted a cold aura as it moved like lightning and thrust forward. The head of the zombie at the front exploded. Lin Xiu then turned and pierced the chest of the zombie behind him before kicking it away. Lin Xiu killed a few rank 2 zombies in this corner and gained countless experience notifications. Ding, congratulations master for reaching level 12. I'm level 12 already. Lin Xiu was stunned. His experience points grew every night as he trained, and after earning all these experience points, it was no surprise that he should level up. Lin Xiu quickly pulled up his stats board. Host. Lin Xiu level. Level 12 experience points. 15, 420,855 experience required for the next level, strength. 105 physique. 70 speed. 54, note. An average person scores at least 38 for each segment, skills. Analytic I, Fury Rage Build. Up. 0 out of 100 overall combat strength. 758 remaining potential points. 12, I have 700 plus combat strength already. Perfect, once I add these 12 potential points and level once more, I'll reach the level of an ordinary rank 1 warrior. Chapter 39. Rank 1 Warrior. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 39. Rank 1 Warrior. Translator. Dragon Boat Translation Editor. Dragon Boat Translation. After thinking for a bit, Lin Xiu added 6 potential points into speed and increased it to 60 points, and pumped the rest into strength, increasing it to 111 points. Right at this moment, his overall combat strength increased to 800 points. Ding, congratulations master for attaining 800 combat strength, rewarding the title, Rank 1 Warrior. Title. What's that? Lin Xiu was stunned and discovered another segment in his stats board. Title. Rank 1 Warrior, passive skill. Under attack, rage value will increase faster. Lin Xiu did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw the effect. It turned out that he had to be beaten. But Lin Xiu felt that it was good. Power. Up strike relied on the increasing rage value from the damage received by his enemies and could only be used when the rage build. Up was at its maximum. As he increased the strength of his body, he was unable to utilize the skill as he required even more serious injuries to build up the rage counter. Rank 2 Zombies. Su Wen walked over and saw the zombie corpses lying on the floor and frowned. These zombies were completely unlike rank 1 zombies. They were fast and posed a sufficient threat to warriors. Who would have thought that Lin Xiu could get rid of all of them? Damn, Lin Xiu, you're good. Li Yi exclaimed in surprise when he saw the scene. Roar. Just as he finished talking, a black figure jumped down from above, followed by a bone-chilling roar. Su Wen reacted quickly and brandished his battle saber and slashed upwards. Bang! Just as the figure closed in on Li Yi, it was sliced into 2, and blood was drawn as some even splattered on Li Yi's body. Careful, don't die. Su Wen glanced at Li Yi and advised. Thanks. Li Yi patted his own chest. He was still able to feel the lingering fear. The zombie that was sliced in 2 opened its large mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. Upon thinking about how close he was to being bitten and becoming like that, he felt his scalp go numb. Careful, something else is coming. Lin Xiu looked around and said cautiously. The street was truly weird. It seemed to hide many terrifying creatures that were waiting for them in the darkness. Su Wen already walked forward while the group followed along and remained cautious. It's just these zombies, isn't the mission too easy? A few soldiers did not care about Lin Xiu's advice. Aside from the zombies that they had encountered, they did not meet others and started to relax. Indeed, I thought that Guangming Fort will have even more zombies and monsters. Another soldier nodded his head in agreement. They were scared to death when they were chosen. A total of 5 cities had dispatched soldiers with 40 per city, all of which were warriors. It was said less than 10 soldiers that participated in the operation cleaned up out of the 40 sent from every city annually would return. There were even instances when the entire group was wiped out. This goes to show how high the mortality rate was. You guys better be careful. I don't care if you die here. Su Wen snorted coldly. Yes, Captain. The soldiers complied verbally but did not take it to heart. They were thinking of searching the town again. If there were no zombies or evolved beasts, they could return early, right? Li Yi was tense due to what had happened. He would look around occasionally and hold on to his weapon tightly, unwilling to relax himself. Something's approaching. Su Wen suddenly saw something at a corner and warned. Approaching. What's approaching? A soldier that was closer was startled as a few figures charged at him. Fast, extremely fast. Before the soldier could even react, a pale and rotten-faced zombie was already on him. It opened its large mouth and breathed out a repulsive breath before biting down on his neck. Go and die. Under immense fear, he used his pair of short blades in his hand and stabbed it in the zombie's chest. Bang! Blood spurted out from the zombie's body, but it did not seem to care about being struck and instead continued biting on the soldier's neck. As he was a distance from the front, Lin Xiu and Su Wen were unable to save him. The zombie's mouth was like a meat grinder. In a short span of time, it had finished eating the soldier's neck and the head dropped onto the ground. This terrifying scene caused all the relaxed soldiers to be horrified. This was when they finally regained their senses. This was not a game, it was a life or death mission. Lin Xiu thrust his spear towards that zombie that wanted to eat the soldier's body. Su Wen charged forward and performed several quick slashes at the other zombies that were approaching. Lin Xiu felt uncomfortable seeing how young the soldier was. He was alive a second ago but had died just like that. Their heads are the weak point, otherwise even if you burst their hearts, they won't die. Lin Xiu penetrated his spear into another zombie's head and explained. Maybe it was the blood from the soldier that died, but many of the zombies were attracted over. Right at this time, heavy footsteps could be heard from all around them. What is that? A soldier trembled and asked when he saw figures in the distance. Zombies. They are all rank 2 zombies. Lin Xiu saw the dense cluster of figures and felt his scalp go numb. The horde was too terrifying. It was no wonder he kept sensing something was wrong. It turned out that there were many rank 2 zombies hiding. Prepare the laser guns. Su Wen's expression changed as he roared. Upon hearing the order, Li Yi immediately drew out his laser gun and shot at the horde. But the number of zombies was too terrifying. Only exploding their heads could work. Lin Xiu held his spear and charged forward, imbuing source strength into Silver Immortal Soul. This caused the spear tip to emit a cold aura. He exerted power in his arm and thrust forward, directly slicing off 5 zombie heads. A row of zombies' heads dropped to the ground. No, you can't use the laser guns. Chapter 40. Zombie Siege. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 40. Zombie Siege. Su Wen continued to shoot the laser gun for a while longer but realized that they were not useful. It was no wonder hardly any warriors used laser guns to deal with zombies. Although the lasers could burst through the zombie bodies, as long as the heads were still intact, the zombies would be fine. The 8 of them shot with laser guns and only got rid of 1 each. But Lin Xiu's spear had already killed 5 or 6 of them. These zombies had overall combat strength comparable to rank 1 warriors. If they chose to pounce and bite, the team was in for trouble. They might end up like the soldier that died. But fortunately, these zombies did not appear to have any intelligence. Lin Xiu swung his spear out to attack while retreating simultaneously. By pouring source strength into Silver Immortal Soul, the entire spear seemed to turn into a spear glowing with silver light. The sharp end of the spear danced alongside Lin Xiu like lightning and shot out in all trajectories. Bang, bang, bang. A few zombie heads dropped to the ground. The notification in his head kept ringing out, but Lin Xiu did not have the time to pay attention to it, because if he was careless, his life might be taken. Su Wen was inwardly shocked and he saw Lin Xiu attacking without regard for his life. Isn't he a student? Why is he so ferocious? Vacuum slash. Su Wen used a skill without thinking further. Following his roar, his saber slashed forward and unleashed a powerful vacuum blade that sliced through a few zombies and cut them at their bodies. All these zombies have no intellect, although their combat strength is high. We will be fine as long as we are careful and not bitten. Lin Xiu glanced to the side where Li Yi was killing zombies. As he had increased his speed to 60 points, Lin Xiu felt his body becoming lighter and his reaction speed had grown faster. Li Yi relaxed when he heard Lin Xiu's voice. Just like how he hunted evolved beasts in the past, he avoided and killed the zombies. All the soldiers around unleashed their own skills and killed a great number of the zombies. Blood stench pervaded the air and the ground was covered with blood. Awe of the Phoenix. Lin Xiu felt the fatigue and called out. There were too many zombies and due to slight carelessness, his spear was held and restricted by a few zombies. A few zombies behind took the opportunity and rushed towards Lin Xiu's body. Lin Xiu had no choice but to utilize Awe of the Phoenix. After becoming a rank 1 warrior, Lin Xiu felt that his strength had grown substantially. Although the stats board did not explicitly reveal anything, he was able to sense that his body was different from before. It was no wonder why official warriors were separated at the 800 combat strength mark. Whoosh! As Lin Xiu unleashed the skill, the silver spear tip erupted with flames. With a loud bang, the gigantic flaming bird flew out. All the zombies that tried to restrict Lin Xiu's spear immediately combust into flames. Lin Xiu snorted and exerted a force. He pulled out the spear and killed the surrounding zombies without pausing. Experience. All the notifications kept appearing in his mind. But Awe of the Phoenix was an extremely exhaustive skill that used up his stamina and source strength. At this moment, Lin Xiu felt a hint of fatigue. The others were tired as well. There were too many zombies and they could not do anything to the fear that was setting in. It simply felt as though the entire city had been sieged by a zombie horde. Let's retreat first. Su Wen gritted his teeth and gave the order after killing 2 zombies with 1 strike. The others agreed. Lin Xiu glanced behind and discovered that the zombies coming from the rear had decreased. There were only a dozen odd left. Retreating from that direction was the best decision. You guys retreat from the rear, I'll use my skills to cover you all. Lin Xiu said and swung his spear to kill another few zombies. If he had sufficient stamina, killing all the zombies would be a shortcut for him to level. But he had no other choice, pushing to stay on was too risky. The expressions of the soldiers became awkward when they heard Lin Xiu's words. To have a student's protection was truly too embarrassing. But it was not a time to be petty, they were almost out of stamina. We are in your debt. Su Wen looked at Lin Xiu deeply and said. Lin Xiu nodded his head. In an instant, source strength from his body was transferred into the spear as he utilized Awe of the Phoenix again. The giant flaming bird blocked the zombies and charged towards them. Move! Everyone immediately retreated upon Lin Xiu's instruction. A dozen odd zombies were killed instantly as they retreated. Lin Xiu ran along with them while depleting the source strength in his body. If this continued, there was a chance that he might die too. Over there, let's hide there. Li Yi spotted a towering building and the doors seemed open. Everyone ran in without hesitation. Lin Xiu pulled the doors and closed them shut. Phew, everyone gasped for breath. Since it was their first time experiencing such a situation. It was an extremely close shave. Lin Xiu leaned against a wall and snuck his way to the dark glass. He looked outside but did not find any traces of the zombies. The zombies most probably did not know that the group had hidden in the building. Take a rest, I think the zombies won't chase us. Lin Xiu heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ground. He placed the spear beside him. He finally had the time to look at his stat board and found that he had earned over 200k experience. It was truly out of his expectation. If he continued killing the zombies, who knew if he could even become a rank 2 warrior on the day to return home. Dezhu, what's wrong? Right at this moment, a soldier asked his comrade that was seated on the floor and howling in pain. His leg was bleeding. It seemed as though he was bitten by a zombie.